Boy, talk about life history. Oh my goodness. I'm looking for a check. My name's Howard P. Still, and my mother came from Sadlertown. My dad's from Lawnside. And I had a basic, normal childhood in a black community called Lawnside. And I grew up in the 40s, right after World War II, which was a hard time. It was a wartime, and we didn't have much of anything, you know. But we managed to have a relationship with each other, which was good. And we also had our faith in the Lord and in church all the time. Kept us going all the time. Never missed church. It was 6 of us all together, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. We got along very well. You know, it was easy. I was one of those kids that whatever they needed done, and my hand was the first one to go up, to go help. And my mother used to say, "Not you." I want one of the girls. The girls were older, so they were more experienced and they could do a lot more than I could do. But I always was the first one to volunteer, whatever my mother wanted me to do. And I also had a regular job. I always did the cleaning spit shining of all the shoes. Everybody had perfect shoes because I spit shined shoes every day. And I also did a lot of other things, but I always was busy. I was a workaholic, and that's really a bad thing. You got to watch it, because I work. Everything was work in our family. I mean, for me, because I was trying to fit in, and I was always trying to make things a little bit better all the time. We didn't have any toys. We played with sticks, and we used to kick like a can, you know, like a soda can, and we didn't really have like toys and all the good stuff kids have today, Transformers and all kinds of stuff, games. We had none of that, none of those games. We had to imagine everything ourselves. It was fine. We got along fine with that, yeah.
Who were your best friends?
Probably people from church that you probably don't know very well, but Granny, my wife, she's a good friend too. I love my family and I love my neighbors too, like Mr. Robinson next door. We always have wonderful conversations. We get along well. I don't really have anybody I dislike. I like almost everybody. You know, we're in this together and we have to take care of each other.
Dad, it's on.
Hi, babe. How you doing? We miss you. Love you. Hope to see you soon.
We're gonna move into college. Where did you go to college?
Michigan State. It was tough. They really worked us hard. And the emphasis really was too much on the sports and not enough on the academics, because we didn't have the tutors you needed and the time to do the work. But the sports was huge in those big schools. And I should have went to a local school so I could come home sometime. I miss my home life. I was really sad in school a lot of times because you could never come home. It was 1,000 miles away. Our parents didn't have any money, and it was tough. It was tough. It was tough for me. It was predominantly white area, very few black people there. So you really had to just sort of basically be to yourself, but also realize that you have to get through with the other people as well. I went overseas in 1962. I got shipped over there after I left Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. I ended up in London, it's called Brize Norton, outside of London. I was first assigned to security, which I didn't really care for. Carrying, and what the rifle was, a rifle and a M45 pistol, and I don't like weapons at all, so that was really difficult for me too. Yeah, but they realized it and they gave me a better job working in the hospital. It didn't take me about 2 or 3 months, and I don't know how it happened, but I got switched to be in the hospital.
That's a nice picture. Son-in-law and father-in-law.
I met my wife at a party at a dance place, but they had always giving me different girls to meet and stuff, that I didn't really like those girls. Most of them were all white. I never met a black girl. They always had a white girl to meet, and I was not prejudiced, but I was not going to get involved with white girls. So I kept going, looking and going to places where I could meet the kind of people that look more like me. And I don't know if that sounds crazy to you guys, but that's just the way I felt, you know. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying anything wrong with white girls. The only trouble with that is I've seen guys who married those girls come back from overseas years ago, and when they got back to the States, they never experienced anything like racism until they came back to the States, and they were picked on and beat up for no good reason except they were married to a black guy, and their children had all kinds of problems. So I knew about that before I got there. Anyway, met grandma at the All-Nighter, it's called, and she's really the only person I talked to. And we hit off, and then from then on, I saw her every week. You know, I took her home in the taxi and got her dress from her, and we started seeing each other. I saw her every weekend, probably for the next, I guess, 3 or 4 years. I was only there like on the weekends. I had to go back to the base, and she still was in London, so I only saw her like on Friday night, Saturday, and part of Sunday. She had little brothers, and I'd go up there every week to take her. I would take food to my future mother-in-law, and I'd take liquor and cigarettes to her father-in-law. They loved to have parties and stuff. So I'm on the train with a bag of food on one hand and a bag of liquor on the other hand. I just gave it to them every single week, and I never took a penny. I never ate any of the food, and I never drank any of the liquor. But anyway, she had younger brothers, so I took them out every weekend. We went to like the park. You know, it's called Battersea Park, and we took the 2 boys, and we had such a good time. Every weekend. That's basically what I did when I was there, you know. We had a good time.
There's Pop and Grandma.
In California.
Iowa, Louisiana, at the Hojo.
And then we started planning for marriage. Had to wait for paperwork, and it's a long story. It's not easy to, you know, to deal with different countries, Jamaica and America, and it's so complicated. But we finally got the approval to get married over there. My parents thought it was great, as long as she was a girl that was a church girl and a decent girl. She was a nurse. My mom and them thought it was great. They loved her too, yeah. The wedding was wonderful. My wife's mother made the gown and stuff. It was, she does sewing and all that stuff, seamstress and all that. All the girls, it was just beautiful. It was a wonderful affair. I was surprised that it worked out so well. It was beautiful. And call him Victor, the pastor, he really was so happy with us. He says that you guys are so blessed, and he really made a big deal of how Granny and I got along, and he thought it was such a wonderful thing too. The main thing to me with a marriage is that you really have to really give each other space and care for each other in ways that are better than the way you care for yourself. See, most marriages that are bad is you care about yourself only, and you can't feel that way in marriage. You gotta give your wife your best. One thing I love about Granny is we know how to work things out in difficult situations. You have to learn to listen and work together, because otherwise you end up doing this. You know, working against each other, and it tends to tear down the inner strength you have to build up. You got to be able to depend each other and love each other, even in difficult times. What most people do, they get so upset about problems, but you have to work through problems. Problems happen to everybody, and that you can't do a thing about problems except slowly try to figure out how to solve these problems without tearing each other down.
Hey, oh, Mom's just a funny person. Hey, boo, look at Mom. Mom's just like that. Got that one finger up. Come on.
Number 1. I lived with her parents, and All right, your mom was the first child. Yeah, Michelle Teresa. Yeah, what a beautiful experience that was. Of course, she lived with your grandmother, and it was really just beautiful. It was brand new, but it was a wonderful thing, and I just kept thinking, boy, this child's going to go places, you know. She's going to really do good things, and she did all that too, and it's just amazing how she's not here. You hear about some of the worst kind of people still alive, and she's gone. And you say to yourself, isn't that amazing how those things can happen, you know? Such a wonderful person, trying to do the right things, but that's the way life is. And you can't figure these things out because life is like that. Life is a mystery that you can't figure out. It's in God's hands. Every day is a blessing, but then you know that's going to stop one day too. Things are not always easy, but they're trials that you have to go through. And God has blessed us in so many ways I can hardly find words. Dave is a wonderful son. We really think a lot of him. He reminds us of ourselves, you know. Uncle Everett, good, hard-working young man. Somebody stopped me, told me they were down the inspection station, said, I saw your spitting image. They're down. They said that to me today. Said, I was down there, I thought I saw you at the inspection station. And the kid said that he's your son. And then there's Jennifer, of course. She's still with us, and she's was excellent athlete, outstanding in her sports and her ability to do all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, there was Yoki. She was her mind, her ability to think, such a gifted, talented kid. It was just amazing. And the way she left us was just a shock that we never recovered from, really. And these are things you have to deal with in life.
Which child was the most like you?
Probably Uncle David. He's a lot like I am, and Derry too. He's like a lot like I am too. Derry's gifted too, talented, and quiet. You have to do it quietly and do your thing, and it takes time, but people will see it. And it's not to make you feel, you know, super, but you're helping people. You set a good example all the time, and somebody else sees it. People used to tell me all the time, I learned this from you, I learned that, and you don't even realize you're doing it. You're just doing your thing, and they recognize it, and they see it, and they come and tell you. Parenting is one of the greatest things you can do in life, because you have to really pour into your children all the good things you know about life, including loving them unconditionally. Because they're going to fall down, they're going to get scraped up, they're going to have problems, but that's just the way children do, and you have to encourage them all the time. Pick them up, wipe off the bloody this, whatever, and always tell them how much you love them. Once they hear those words, it changes their whole life. But there are a lot of people who discourage their children by criticizing them. You cannot criticize your children. Very, very, very little of that, and a lot of love, and a lot of hugging, because they're great, great kids. And when they get discouraged, it's so hard to change that around. Oh my God. That's why you have to prevent that from happening as best you can, you know, yeah.
Platinum. All right,
Oh my God, without the Lord in your life, oh my God. Who can help you to get through things that, I mean, if it's a late night somewhere in the car broke down, only God is with you, because your faith will get you through everything. And you'll come out on top. I don't care what they say to you. You'll come out on top. I learned that as a child, and it's so strange, because my mother, who was the one that really instilled it in me, but she said to me one day, you're the only one that really got my faith the way it should get it. I was shocked. My mom, she said, I can't believe how much you're like me in your heart when it comes to God. I was shocked. I said, me? I thought I was the least like her. She said, you got it better than any one of my children. I can see it in everything you say and do. You're so much like me in my heart. And anyway, she was a faithful. My mother got saved when she was like 7, 8 years old. She never turned back. She was a whirlwind for God. She just, boy, and that's where I got it from, when I saw her life.
How would you like to be remembered?
Just that I tried to do my best and tried not to impede or hurt other people's way trying to make it through life. That's the only thing that I think my life is worth. Okay, thanks. Thank God. You can send the check to 2409.